And this one is a city building game where players are going to be playing over 3 rounds, and each round there's going to be 2 goals that players are trying to complete, and you're going to have scoring at the end of each of these rounds. Each round you're also going to be setting up 2 different rows of buildings, and on a player's turn they'll be able to draft one of those buildings from those rows, starting with the top row, and once that row is completely depleted, then players can start drafting from the lower row. And whenever a player drafts a building, they're going to be adding it to one of the regions on their own personal player boards, of course trying to create different patterns to fulfill the different objectives of the game. But each of the black buildings are known as landmarks, and anytime that you draft one of those buildings, you're going to be choosing one of the landmark cards to assign to that building. Each of the landmark cards are unique and have different preferences that can score you points in their own way if you're able to fulfill those requirements. But as the players are placing buildings onto their own personal player boards, they're going to be hitting different milestones that allow them to move boats onto their board. Whenever you gain a boat, it moves onto the river onto the center of your board. You'll be able to move that boat up the river in order to gain specific goal cards that will only affect you. You'll be able to keep these goal cards for the entirety of the game, but you will be scoring them at the end of each round. A round ends once all the buildings are taken, and then you're going to be randomly drawing more buildings to set up the next round. And the game continues like this until the end of 3 rounds, and the player with the most victory points wins the game. But players will also be gaining different action tokens throughout the game that they can spend to perform some special abilities, like exchanging different buildings for other buildings or moving buildings around on their own personal player boards. And if you're interested in this one, you can check out the link in the description below.